quick look at Rotom because, like you said, Choice Scarf is not an item that is too common. I mean, it's definitely an option. We can see if we jump over to the Pokemon GL website, we can see on item usage. Most Rotoms do carry the Citrus Berry because they are that bulkier variant. They like to take hits and then go ahead and recover that HP back that they do lose from taking those hits. And then, of course, speaking of recovering HP, the second most used item is Leftovers. So that's constantly recovering your HP back. Choice Specs, surprisingly, I'm a little surprised. I'm not actually too surprised. Choice Specs is above Choice Scarf usage at number 3. We can see that 6.2% of people do use Choice Specs as their item for their Rotom wash, which I think is interesting because it's so commonly seen as it doesn't have a lot of speed behind it.
Right.
So to just try to hit hard with it, I guess, because it does have natural bulk, even if you are training it in wanting it to be an offensive attacker, it can still take a couple hits of certain types, considering it only has one weakness. That's the beautiful thing of a washing machine. It's only weak to one thing, and for some reason it's grass stains. I don't know. It just can't get those grass stains out.
Right. And, it is disappointing to see Choice Specs. One of the things about Wash said already, it's known to be a bulky Pokemon, a bulky, slow Pokemon that, is just going to sit there, kind of disrupt, at the same time also do some chip damage with Thunderbolts and Hydro Pumps here and there.
Yep.
But, with Choice Specs, that actually is going to pick up some surprise knockouts. Some people will not be ready for the extra power that this Wash Rotom has, more voltage.
More voltage. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's using a water move, a legendary move. It's more voltage regardless, pulling a static shock. But we can see what's really cool about Choice Specs, you can even throw it. Trick Room is obviously a popular format, and Choice Specs Rotom Wash on Trick Room doesn't mind the fact that it's a little slow washing machine. It's really surprising. This thing is really light. This washing machine is really light because it's like really small, but it's a light washing machine that doesn't mind being slow. And especially in Trick Room, Choice Specs, I could see that being really, really awesome, picking up those surprise knockouts.
Yeah, and then going to Choice Scarf, again, players don't expect Wash Rotom to be that fast of Pokemon, but with a Choice Scarf, it can actually outspeed the most popular Pokemon right now that has a Choice Scarf, the Landorus Therian form.
Yes.
And that was actually something that I was looking into before Nationals. Rotoms with a Choice Scarf with the right nature can outspeed, the Adamant Landorus Therians, which is probably one of the most popular Pokemon in the game. So, coming in, picking up a lot of damage, to surprise those Landorus Therians, that's also a huge thing too. And, I wouldn't be surprised if that's why Hayden decided to run that Wash Rotom.
Yeah, you can see, you see those little feet on the Rotom Wash. No one expects it to run that fast. Like, you're not running up to you doing this, you're not a Hydro Pump. It's not a fast mon.
Please, Jonathan, it levitates, so it's floating faster.
Oh my gosh. So why does it even need those little feet? Does it need those little nubs or no? It's just it's just aesthetics. Just aesthetics, I guess. I think it's really cool to see that Assault Vest is right under Choice Scarf. Assault Vest Rotom, interesting because that means you're not running Protect or Will-O-Wisp.
Right.
And Will-O-Wisp is one of those things that Rotom is really, really known for, especially the bulkier variants. Like you said, it likes to disrupt Pokemon, and one of the best ways to do that is to
get some burns.
Yeah, get some burns and reduce that attack stat of your opponent.
Even then, a lot of players, they have the opportunity to run Will-O-Wisp or Thunderwave, which status-inducing move they want to run.
Yeah.
Some people, they can go, they really want to status the opponent's Pokemon, they will go for both Thunderwave and the Will-O-Wisp too.
Well, because you have that moment where, like, oh, well, my opponent has a Pokemon that can't be Thunderwave, like a Landorus has, so I want to pack that Will-O-Wisp. Or my opponent has a Pokemon that is not going to matter. It's a Gardevoir, but I want to slow it down, so let's pack that Thunderwave as well. But obviously, neither of those moves can be run with the Assault Vest. I'm guessing an Assault Vest moveset would be something like Hydro Pump, Thunderbolt, Volt Switch, and Hidden Power Ice.
Right, yeah.
Would be the Assault Vest moveset generally. Or actually, Shadow Ball is not a bad option. Rotom does actually get it, which is surprising, considering it's a washing machine, but it starts out as a ghost.
Well,
so
yeah, it starts off as a ghost and then turns into a washing machine or whatever
you want it to be.
Whatever appliance you want it to be, right?
Do you want an easy bake oven? You got it. Do you want a washing machine? You got it. Like, there's just so many options for this little guy. Really be cool. But of course, with Rotom Wash having only the one weakness and levitating, it's the prime candidate. One of the prime candidates. I actually really like Rotom Heat because it can't be burned.
Yeah.
It's immune to both the Thunder Wave and the Will-O-Wisp that some Rotom Washes want to carry.
Yeah, and things with these Rotoms is that they're perfect Heat Ran counters.
Yes.
Because Heat Ran, they usually carry those Heat Waves, those Earth Powers, and the Flash Cannon. Wash Rotom resists all of those.
Exactly. It's such a good mon. And Heat Ran, that's why Heat Ran and Rotom Wash are some of the most commonly used mons. You'll find that once a Pokemon rises up and its usage increases, then the counter is going to rise up as well, obviously, in usage, especially when it's just... This washing machine scares me a little bit. I'm not going to lie. I personally don't like going up against it because it can be so many different things. It can be bulky. It can be offensive. It's scary. And honestly, Grass isn't an offensive type you see often in VGC unless you're running into a Venusaur. I mean, Amoonguss is a popular Grass type, but it's not an offensive mon.
Right.
It's bulky. It's
a lot of the Grass types, that are popular these days, Amoonguss and Venusaur, they're all, trained to be more bulky, just to stay on the field, kind of do some status moves, Venusaur with the Leech Seed, Amoonguss with the Spores, the Rage Powders, so, Wash Rotom, first off, Wash Rotom does not enjoy going up against those at all because, electric attacks and the water attacks are resisted. So this Wash Rotom, with the Choice Scarf, again, like I said earlier, we said that it could outspeed a lot of things that a lot of players would not expect it to outspeed and go for a surprise Will-O-Wisp too. Picking up a surprise burn here and there could be key to your team. I mean, we saw Hayden's Cresselia go for that light screen. That's going to boost the special defense of Hayden's team. And then you have this Wash Rotom here to support. Okay, I have the light screen, but how am I going to deal with physical attackers? Looking at Hayden's team, you only have Salamence to Intimidate, and at some time you're going to lose that Intimidate once you decide to Mega Evolve that Salamence. Yep. So Wash Rotom right there, coming in really clutch to possibly go for burns if it really needs to boost his team's physical bulkiness.
Yeah, especially because in this format, like whether you're burning something that's physically offensive or especially offensive, obviously you want to cripple those physical attackers. But once you lock yourself into Will-O-Wisp, you might be tempted to just stay in and Will-O-Wisp the other Pokemon before you switch out because it's so obvious that you are going to switch out since you outsped certain things and you're not going to stay. Why am I going to stay in a Will-O-Wisp with special attacker? But residual damage in this game is so important. Like you said, even Venusaurs go for Leech Seeds. We've seen Venusaur usage drop a bit because I think Gardevoir, even though Venusaur can hit it with a super effective attack with Sludge Bomb, Gardevoir is just can be a bit faster, depending on how it's trained. But it's just grass-type Pokemon, not really around for Rotom. Virizion, we haven't seen any Virizion there this weekend, right?
Not too much Virizion at all. If you do go for that trio of Pokemon from Black and White, you opt for that Terrakion that has that powerful close combat that's known to pick up the knockouts on Kangaskhan's and other Heat Rans too. And it also has Rock Slide. Yeah, it also has Rock Slide, which is one of the... let's just call it what it is. It is the best move in the game. But that's why... Another reason, bringing it back to Rotom, because this is all about Rotom right now. Like, that's another reason why Rotom Wash is kind of favored over Rotom Heat, because it's not weak to the Rock Slide the way that Rotom Heat is. So, with it being such a popular move, Rotom Wash is kind of just sitting there. Right. Like you said, only one weakness, and that's it.
And it won't be flinched if it's Choice Scarf. So, beautifully chosen by Hayden for sure. We're going to go ahead and take a look, actually, at Gardevoir as well, just because it's one of those Pokemon we were talking about, and one of the Pokemon we got to see. We saw how Toller kind of struggled with its Gardevoir. Obviously, we can see most Gardevoirs on Battle Spot, 87.4% of them are with the Mega Gardevoir because that Pixelate boost to Hyper Voice is just something you can't miss out on.
Yeah, and Gardevoir is one of those Pokemon, you see Choice Scarf is also really the second most popular item, even though it's it's ways below the Gardevoir, right? But that's probably residual from last year with the Choice Scarf Gardevoir winning Worlds with Seijo Park.
Yeah.
So we do see the shift now because with Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, Gardevoir did get to pick up that Hyper Voice, which it lacked last year, right? So picking up Hyper Voice, getting that Pixelate boost, the same type attack bonus, those Hyper Voices from Gardevoir are going to be hitting a lot harder than Sylveon's.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, although Sylveon is a bit just a touch bulkier, and it only has the pure fairy typing, so it doesn't have the extra weaknesses that a psychic type has, but it also doesn't have the extra psychic coverage that Gardevoir has. So definitely a great Pokemon, but when it's up against the Heat Ran, when it's up against an Aegislash, it struggles a lot. We can see the moves, obviously, Protect and Hyper Voice, two most used moves, over 87% of all Gardevoirs in Battle Spot do run both those moves. Then we see Psychic being the next move to kind of hit those Venusaurs that I had mentioned before. You don't want to get caught off guard. And then Trick Room right beneath it, and Trick Room is awesome. Trick Room is such an awesome tactic.
And that's another move that Sylveon does not have access to that makes Gardevoir one of those Pokemon. It's one of those Pokemon that can set up Trick Room, and at the same time, once you set up Trick Room, you have 5 turns to take advantage of this, the reverse speed orders. Gardevoir can take advantage of that because, you want to be able to hit as hard as you can, take advantage of those turns, and Gardevoir, sets up the Trick Room and then can easily just go for the knockouts with the Hyper Voice or the Psychics.
Yeah, definitely, and it's interesting to see. If we go all the way down here, we do see Shadow Ball at 10%, which, of course, Shadow Ball would be nice coverage to hit those Aegislashes, but we don't actually... Gardevoir doesn't have enough natural power, I don't think, without that Pixelate Hyper Voice that it's so known for. It gains all that extra bonus attack. The Shadow Ball won't do too much to the Aegislash. Possibly, depending on how it's trained and how the Aegislash is trained, could do around 50%, maybe. I don't even think 50. It'd be close. It all depends on how the trainers decide to train their Pokemon. But still,
absolutely.
A fantastic Mon with some tough matches.
He is currently 2-1. That means he's taken 2 games off really, really good players. Every player here in Day 2 is just absolutely fantastic.
He's a fantastic trainer. We're going to see Jacob's team on the screen. It is a Venusaur, Hydreigon, Charizard, Aegislash, Azumarill, and Landorus. And on Wolf's side, we did see his team on stream yesterday, but he's got a Milotic, Kangaskhan, Thundurus, Landorus, Heatran, and Amoonguss. So definitely 2 powerful teams, like we just said. Both players are here on Day 2 of Swiss. round 4, both just really trying to not see a loss, but unfortunately one of them will, and we're going to hop right into this game.
Yeah, and one thing that Jacob's actually bringing that you don't see too much anymore is that Charizard Venusaur core. It was really popular in the beginning of last season, but nowadays people opt for either just Charizard or just Venusaur. So interesting to see here. It could come down to a situation where Charizard Mega Evolves and has Venusaur just stay in with Chlorophyll and not Mega Evolve, instead go for really fast leap powers or really fast attacks.
Yeah, double Mega is always, it's not as mind gamey as a Sword and Blade, of course, but it's still a mind game. You don't know which one is going to Mega Evolve. We do see that Jacob does lead with the Hydreigon and the Landorus. Unfortunately for him, because Wolfe gets that competitive boost with the Milotic and the Kangaskhan.
Yeah, and at the same time, Kangaskhan currently has 1 stage of reduced attack, but at the same time, Milotic has plus 2 stages of increased special attack, so I'm not sure where you want to be in that situation. You do weaken that Kangaskhan, but also you boost that Milotic, which is going to be doing a pretty good amount of damage to both Landorus and Hydreigon right now.
Yeah, I would not want to be in Jacob's shoes, because Milotic often carries moves such as Icy Wind, which is super effective to both of Jacob's Pokemon right now, and that's just a tough spot to be in, especially at +2 special attack.
Yeah, and that was a good play right there from Wolfie to just lead that Milotic. A lot of players, they do enjoy leading off with those Landoruses. To go for the Intimidate's first turn, it's always a good thing to start off the game with Pokemon that are intimidated on your side, or on the opposing side, right?
Definitely.
And, Wolfie took advantage of that by switching that Milotic first turn.
Definitely, and we're going to see Wolfie take back that Kangaskhan that did have its attacks that reduced, and bring in his own Landers to intimidate the Landers on the other side of the field. Of course, Hydreigon doesn't mind it too much being intimidated, and Jacob's actually going to withdraw his Landers after being intimidated, so speed really coming at the fact that we saw the Kangaskhan switch out first before the Landers, so we can pretty much know that Landers is not Choice Scarf. Bringing in the Aegislash, Milotic's just going to go ahead and protect, and a Draco Meteor is going to miss the Landorus.
And that is so unfortunate right there for Jacob. I mean, he could have come up pretty good that turn, Milotic protecting there, wanted to see what Hydreigon and the Landorus on Jacob's side was going to do, but at the same time, Jacob didn't want to take an Ice Beam into that Landorus slot, so he immediately switched to that Aegislash, which is a good switch because Aegislash resists it. Wolfie right there deciding to switch out that Kangaskhan into Landorus to, we see exactly what he's doing right here.
We're going to see the Landorus is going to go for the superpower, just barely missed the knockout on that Hydreigon. We still don't know what item that Hydreigon is holding, because that Draco Meteor is going to come through right now, and it is going to connect the second time around. It's going to target down the Milotic. Is it going to be able to pick up the knockout? It's going to depend on a few things, but Milotic is a very fat Pokemon, not going to be able to get knocked out by that Draco Meteor. It's going to munch away on that Citrus Berry, and we're going to see who he's going to go for. It's going to opt to go for a Scald. A +2 Scald is going to hurt, and it's going to finish up, knock out that Hydreigon.
It was actually a Moringa Berry.
It was a Moringa Berry?
Yeah, that's going to boost its special defense by 1 stage.
Oh my gosh, I'm just so used to seeing things munch on citruses. I apologize for that. A Moringa Berry. Wow, and a Shadow Ball is going to come through and connect on the Milotic, but it looks like that berry doesn't cut it, and it's going to go down.
Yeah, and that was a lot of damage right there from that Hydreigon. We do see that Hydreigon get knocked out, but it did its job. It weakened Milotic to get it down, and Milotic was really a big threat right there at 2 stages of increased special attack, right? So Milotic is a very especially bulky Pokemon. Wolfie right there hoping to take some special attacks and then boost it to make it even harder to deal with.
Definitely.
So getting that Milotic out of the way, that's a good thing.
Targeting down the thing is a threat because Milotic is a very bulky Pokemon, and then of course because of that Intimidate activating its competitive, it made it an offensive threat, with a lot of options under its belt. So we're going to see right now both players having to make some tough decisions.
And we do see Kangaskhan come in right now. Kangaskhan can provide fake out support and possibly fake out that Landers. Aegislash kind of enjoys this matchup right now with Kangaskhan because Kangaskhan only has really Sucker Punch in order to be able to hit that Aegislash. So as long as Aegislash can play safely around it, it can get around the Kangaskhan. And Landorus right now, I believe it is Choice Scarf. It moved before that Hydreigon. So it's Choice Scarf Landorus, and it's locked into Superpower. So Aegislash right now in pretty good position.
Yeah, and because of that being locked in Superpower, Wolfe has to switch it out in favor of his Heatran here. We're going to see the Aegislash is also going to switch out while in Blade form, so not going to try throwing up a King Shield. No mind games here. Just going to get a safe switch in into his, a switch in into his Venusaur. We don't know how safe it is just yet, but now that the Heatran's out on the field, it doesn't look too good for Venusaur unless it opts to Mega Evolve and gain that Dick Fat ability and have no longer a weakness, true weakness to fire. So Kangaskhan's going to opt to just go for the Protect. Most of the times when you see a Kangaskhan go for Protect, it's not actually going to run the Fake Out. I'm not going to call it just yet, but usually there's only room for either Fake Out or Protect, so a moot turn there.
Yeah, and, even though no damage was dealt that turn, you have Heatran coming in, you also have Venusaur coming in right there, too. And that was actually a really safe switch right there from Jacob to get that Venusaur in safely because that Aegislash slot, nothing was going to hit it.
Yep.
Wolfie's not going to try to target down with a Superpower, and Kangaskhan really why would it double it in that slot unless it was going for some predictions right there? So safe switch right there from Jacob. We do see that Venusaur in right now, and since we haven't seen Charizard yet, that probably means that this Venusaur is going to be able to Mega and, kind of be able to deal with that Heatran a little bit better. Venusaur's still not going to have anything to hit that Heatran with, I believe, unless it has a,
hidden
ground
power
type around.
Yeah, we're going to see because of that, Heatran is going to switch out for the Landers. We're going to find out right now. But hopefully, if that Venusaur is going to Mega Evolve, it's going to grow some trees on its back, which, provided the coverage it needs, trees apparently resist fire and ice when there's more of them on top of a dinosaur. So really cool. Kangaskhan's going to go for the return, targeting down the Landers here, but it's not going to do too much. Going to do just about 40% HP to that Landers, and Landers is going to go for the superpower, targeting down that Landers. Good switch in by Wolfe, being able to take that just fine. Didn't want to stay in there, got the Intimidate off, further reducing that damage. We're going to see Sleep Powder misses the Landorus.
So we see right there, Landorus was definitely trying to target down that Heatran slot. Good switch right there from Wolfe to realize the situation. Heatran was not safe there.
Yes.
Heatran had to get out of there, otherwise, you don't want to lose Pokemon that fast. You don't want to switch in Heatran just to have it knocked out instantly. We see Kangaskhan do a pretty good amount of damage to that Landorus, even though it is intimidated. And, Landorus is... They're pretty bulky, so... this one might be a bit bulkier, might be a different item than Choice Scarf because we saw that Kangaskhan move first, either Assault Vest or Choice Banded. Venusaur is still sitting pretty out there, not been damaged yet. Can't go for Sleep Powers. That's a big threat right there.
Definitely, Sleep Powder is such a huge threat. Putting a Pokemon to sleep cripples it entirely for at least one turn. We're going to see Landers, after getting those stat drops, switch out into the Aegislash. Kangaskhan's just going to go for a safe protect here, not wanting to take any damage or be put to sleep. The Earthquake's going to come through on that Aegislash switching. It's going to do a good amount of damage, being super effective. Even in shield form, it's still going to do over 50% to it, and does a sizable amount to the Venusaur because it is neutral thanks to the poison typing, although grass does resist ground type moves. The weakness policy is going to activate on Jacob's side, and that is definitely scary. We're going to see a Giga Drain fire off and do a huge amount of damage to Landorus.
Yeah, and that puts Jacob in a pretty decent position right now. You have 2 stages of increased special attack and attack on that Aegislash, and right now this Landorus is going to be knocked out from another Giga Drain from this Venusaur. I mean, this Venusaur is hitting pretty hard, so I would expect it to not be as bulky as a lot of players expect it to be. If somehow Jacob can get rid of that Landorus on Wolfie's side, that's going to open up the opportunity for Aegislash. I mean, Aegislash is heavily weakened. Kangaskhan can threaten with a Sucker Punch onto that Aegislash slot if Aegislash decides to go on the offensive, so Jacob definitely has to be careful there. He's not yet out of the woods, but he's not in the worst of positions. It's still anybody's game.
I think it's going to come down to straight-up prediction games. We're going to see the Landorus switch out here in favor of the Heatran coming in on Wolfie's side. It's going to be tough, like you said. The Sucker Punch is there to threaten the Aegislash. The King Shield is also a thing to protect from Earthquake. Maybe Venusaur wanted to target down that slot and get rid of the Landorus. We're going to see the Aegislash does, in fact, go for that King Shield. Kangaskhan go for the Sucker Punch. It does fail, and a Sleep Powder onto the Kangaskhan, putting it to sleep, so that Sucker Punch is no longer a threat for this turn.
Yeah, and good play right there from Wolfie to switch out that Landorus, to keep it in the back just in case. Heatran coming in is also pretty safe too. Right now that Kangaskhan is asleep. We saw it go for that Sucker Punch. You're right. That was a safe play. Possibly pick up a knockout on the Aegislash if it did decide to go into the offensive, protecting that Heatran switch in. So good call right there from Wolfie. But right now we do have a sleeping Kangaskhan, and one thing that Venusaur probably wants to try to do right now is put that Heatran to sleep too, because Heatran's going to be able to threaten that Aegislash, and Aegislash... Oh!
We see the wide guard so that there can't be any Heat Wave nonsense going on from this Heatran, if that's what, in fact, Wolfie decided to do, or did he predict that? We're going to see Kangaskhan is still asleep, and Heatran goes for the substitute on the wide guard, so no sleeping today, the Sleep Powder. Heatran avoids the attack. That stuffed animal just completely distracted Venusaur. It's fantastic. Beautiful play by Wolfie.
That was a bold play right there from Jacob's side. But Wolfie punishes that wide guard with the substitute, and now Heatran hiding behind the substitute is not one thing that you want to see, because I actually think that substitute Heatran is probably one of Wolfie's signature Pokemon. I mean, he's brought it so many times, and he protects Heatran so well. He reads the opportunity to get that Heatran behind a substitute, and he did it right there. He's oh man, just hiding behind a substitute now, can't be put to sleep, and Aegislash has spent turns to try to break that substitute.
That was so perfect. We're going to see Kangaskhan does wake up and decide to defend its young, hitting that Venusaur with a return. Heat Wave is going to come through from the Heatran. Will it be enough to pick up the knockout on the Aegislash in shield form? It is going to pick up the knockout and do a sizable amount of damage despite the thick fat, and it gets the burn on the Venusaur. Oh my goodness, that secondary effect is huge. We're going to see the Venusaur does opt to go for the Sludge Bomb on the Kangaskhan. Going to be able to do a lot of damage. Like you said, this doesn't seem like a bulky Venusaur. It seems a bit more offensive to me.
Yeah, and we see Heatran being able to put it in work, going for that Heat Wave right there. Jacob right now not sure exactly what Wolfie's going to do with that Heatran. Opted to not go for that wide guard, which would have helped out that turn.
Yeah.
So great mind games going on right now as we see Landers come in and intimidate Kangaskhan.
I think what happens is when you get played once and you go for the wide guard and you get predicted, it's like, I don't want to go for that wide guard again and get played again. Like, you get played once, all right, shame on my opponent, they did me dirty, but you fool me twice.
Right, and you've revealed the wide guard, so
yes.
Wolfie was probably going to be more careful as we see Kangaskhan go for that hit.
Kangaskhan goes for the hit and gets a critical hit. It's a crit on the Landers. Oh my goodness, another Heat Wave is going to go ahead, and I think Wolfie just completely took momentum of this game, put it in his pocket, and he's just sitting comfy right now.
Yeah, and oh man, Wolfie played that exceptionally well. I mean, Jacob does...
Back-to-back crits, are you kidding me? That's salt right there. Can we not do unnecessary crits? Calm down, Wolfie.
Going back to it, I mean, Jacob has the tools to take it. I mean, Venusaur can do work. It's just unfortunate that Heatran got up that substitute. He was in position to do a lot of work. He picked up the first knockout with that Milotic. Going for the Draco Meteor and the other hit, it
was a Shadow Ball from
Shadow Ball from the Aegis Slash, right? To pick up the knockout on the Milotic, which probably would have sat there and picked up